Welcome to podcast number 18, Salmon. Ronaldo don't outshine Ramos. I'm MachineDaena.
And I'm Andrew Salmon, Coronation Street Extra.
Can we first take a moment to admire your jumper, as is tradition right now?
It's usually a t-shirt, but as we've hit peak winter, if you can see that on the old camera.
So this is a black jumper, full-length jumper with Roy Cropper on there. And it's got sort of like 1990s... vintage, like, writing font copy across the top.
It's an absolute beaut, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing. And there's 3 different versions of Roy Cropper. It's like 3 flavours,
One
isn't
of
it?
them is wearing a corset as well.
He's wearing... Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot that he was a trans.
He's not.
Oh, it's his missus was a trans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Easy to forget.
Yeah.
So this is going out live on Twitch at twitch.tv/electric_honk.
Yep.
We record it live there. We then edit it down onto YouTube. And then also on Spotify, on
Amazon Music.
all of the
That's
things.
the one where all the listeners are from, really.
Deezer.
Microphone abuser.
Crowd pleaser, all of the platforms. Yeah, give us a follow on the platform of choice. This week we have got quite a fun-packed podcast coming up, and we're nearly hitting the 20 as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Right. So last podcast, top shelf was Panther Milk, based in Glasgow.
Yes.
One of our probably most favourite Glasgow listener, Richard Horner. He got in touch to say he's going to go and try it out. So I've not heard back from him to say if it was good or not, or if it even exists.
It feels like that's a first. A viewer, a listener actually saying, right, I'm going to go there and do something.
Exactly, yeah.
We're gaining influence fast, mate.
Richard Horner, if you're listening, or when you're listening, get in touch and let us know how your Panther Milk experience went.
I wonder if he'll try the strawberry one or one of the other flavours. Because remember on the back it did a little check mark.
Yeah, I hope he tried strawberry. That was beautiful.
So the thing that's been annoying me in the last week or so has been, I've been driving along with the wife, doing various bits and pieces around where I live. Radio stations trying to make small talk with the viewers, the listeners in the mornings about Christmas. So one day it'll be like, what type of stocking presents are you getting your family? And then the following day, it's so cynical. The following day, it's stuff like, what don't you include? Go on, ring us, text us, and let us know what don't you include on your Christmas dinner. And that's been really grinding my goat quite a lot. Yeah, so ChatGPT is an open AI release. This is something, people have been going bananas for this in the last week. It was released last Wednesday. OpenAI was founded by Elon Musk. He was one of the original founders. I think now he's left the board. Elon Musk's been quite open about AI, about how it scares the shit out of him, and he's got all sorts of opinions about it. But OpenAI, it's totally going to change everything. People are saying that it might replace Google as a search engine. Right. And what it is a tool you can use to do all kinds of different things. So you can search, you can ask it all kinds of questions. And people have been asking it all sorts of questions, like, when's the world going to end? And list my favourite, X or Y. And you can even get it to write blog posts, respond to chat, and it's really high level. It's like human, like very human. So I asked it a few questions yesterday when I was testing around. Okay. I'll read you some of the responses and let me know if you...
Hold on. So if I wanted to do this, how do I go and find it online?
So if you search for, what's it called? ChatGPT. Yeah. And it's an OpenAI beta at the moment. Okay. And you can literally just
So it'd be like the top Google result or something.
And it's the same company that does the DALL-E that we covered on one of the earlier podcasts.
Yeah.
One of the examples of why this is really, really good is when you do a search on Google, you have to root around for the answers. It doesn't just present you the answers. It presents you what it thinks might be the answers, right? ChatGPT will present you what the actual answers are in a really clean manner. So a good example of this, someone said, please list 15 important inventions. Who made them, what year, and what country? And the response was, and you can have a look at how clean that looks.
Oh, nice. Literally lists the exact information you want.
Yeah. So just to give you a flavour, number one, the wheel, Mesopotamias, I don't even know what that is, 3,500 BC, Mesopotamia, modern era.
That's a country, isn't it?
Which is modern day Iraq. Number two, printing press, Johannes Gutenberg in 1440 in Germany. Number three, steam engine, Thomas Newcomen. 1712 England, and so on and so forth. So it's that sort of thing. So I asked it a few questions. One of the things that I asked it was give me 10 goose-related puns for a podcast.
Oh, nice. Go on then.
So I'll just read these out for you. And it's called Playground, so it's like ChatGPT Playground. You type it in, and within 2 seconds, you've got the answer.
Wow.
So this isn't something that takes like a minute or two. Things are getting a bit too quacky around here. Number 2, we're just winging it. Can relate to that.
Yeah.
Honk if you like geese. We're on a roll here. No goose steps allowed.
Oof.
Yeah, they're not the best. Let's gander at this situation. We're going to have a honking good time. Leading the flock on this one. We're in the goose lane now. Let's get to the bottom of this. I don't get that one.
No.
That's number 9. We're getting a bit loose towards the end. Let's spread our wings and fly. All right, they're not the best, but
they're actually pretty good, though.
Seconds. Some of them are all right.
Yeah.
Now, and just to demonstrate how important this could end up being, I asked it, what are the 10 most effective things you can do as a parent, and list them from the most effective to like the least effective, but still very effective.
Yeah.
And the content it came up with, I immediately thought, wow, I could make a very effective video about this, about parenting. And the content was absolutely spot on.
Wow.
I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to ask you what sort of question you think you would ask it.
Can it sort of like predict the future a little bit?
It can try.
I mean,
so
you mentioned people like asking when's the world going to end.
Yes. So I did ask it to predict what Twitch would do, and it came up with a load of different innovations that it predicted Twitch would do.
So we should ask, how successful will the Electric Honk podcast be?
Okay.
We should ask, what is the world's most popular goose?
Popular goose?
Yeah.
Populous goose or popular?
Popular. What is the human population's most favourite goose? I mean, you'd ask it the lottery numbers. Try that. See what happens.
Okay. Suggest some lottery, but you could just say suggest some lottery numbers, or you could say tell me what the lottery results will be.
Exactly.
It is good enough to know that when it doesn't know the answer to things, so it will say I don't know the answer to that.
We need to ask it who's going to win the World Cup.
Who's going to win the World Cup? Okay.
Before the World Cup final.
Yeah. So as the AI, what it might do there is look at the odds.
Yeah.
Just say here are the odds for the remaining people in the World Cup. Teams. ChatGPT, it's got 1 million users in 1 week. That is one of the fastest growths of any platform.
And who
in history
provided it? Who set it up?
So the company is called OpenAI.
Yeah, okay.
It was this thing that was founded by Elon Musk,
right.
And now it's got a whole exec team and all the rest of it. People have been working on it, and it uses like machine learning. And you also give it feedback on whether the answers are good or bad or whatever. And the other thing as well is, I think when you hit a certain threshold of searches, you then have to pay. So that's how they're going to do the paid model.
That's what I was going to come on to, is how are they actually making money from it?
Yeah.
Are they data harvesting as well, do you know?
They must be doing, yeah. So whatever questions you ask, it must then.
Yeah.
But you can also write blog posts. I asked it to write a blog post for me. I limited it to 600 characters. I gave it a topic, and I asked it to be search engine optimization friendly. And it wrote the whole article in 8 seconds.
And if you publish it?
I could publish it,
under your name, yeah.
I mean, the article was nonsense to anything that I'm doing right now. But it did write it.
In theory, could you ask it to do like a 20,000 PhD
So
paper?
Students have got like probably a 1 or 2 year window here where they can ask it to write essays for it, and it'll do it in probably less than a minute.
Wow.
It does all sorts. So it'll handle chat on web. It can do translations, so localized translations. A lot of people are saying this will put a lot of companies and people out of business. So anyone that does translation services, humanoid chat,
just what we
blog
need.
posts, marketers, search engine optimizations, all out of business from this one tool.
Something to discuss another day, but if the world's heading in this direction where more and more technology is just going to make people obsolete, surely we're going to need a universal basic income where people are just paid a minimum amount of money just to live. And then if they want more money than that, they go out and find work.
That is a very, very big discussion, Salmon.
Save it for another day.
You've got a survey for me or something?
Okay. Let me find these. So,
no, you've been looking at surveys, right?
Yeah, well, they've actually been popping up in the news because we're approaching the end of the year. So a lot of these surveys have been going out. First of all, we've got the word of the year. Any idea what that might be?
The word of the year?
Yeah, so 2 dictionaries, the Collins Dictionary and the Oxford Dictionary. Every year they announce what the word of the year is, like the word that you'd associate with this year more than any others.
War crimes?
Well, it's actually not, and it's kind of 2 words together, like war crimes, but it's not war crimes.
So you're already cheating. Well, it is
2 words.
Me on.
It's something that I've not heard all year, so I'm clearly well out of touch. But the word of the year, according to both dictionaries, is goblin mode. You heard of goblin mode?
I've not heard of it.
No. So apparently it describes unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy behavior. So if you just say to like,
you just described my whole life.
I'm going into goblin mode. It just means like, you know, you don't give a shit.
I like that.
Lock yourself away and treat yourself.
That's quite. We can all relate to that.
Second word in the word of the year list was metaverse, and third was the hashtag I stand with. Okay. So that's that. Top Googled word of 2022. What was that?
Top Zelensky.
Nope.
Ukraine.
Nope.
AI.
This is
Musk,
a bad reflection.
Twitter.
This is a bad reflection on the human race.
Iraq. Iran.
Wordle.
Yeah. What? So that's just people every single day repeatedly doing Wordle.
I guess so, yeah. And that's put it. Even a Wordle like seems like quite a short-lived craze.
No, I know. There's a lot of people that just do it religiously every day, first thing in the morning.
Yeah. We've got Europe's heaviest drinkers has been revealed. Any guess who the top country in the whole of Europe is?
Ireland. It's got to be Ireland.
It's not.
No way.
It's Latvia.
Latvia?
Yeah. So the average person in Latvia drank 12.1 litres of alcohol per adult in 20... Well, it's actually 2020, but the results came out just now. In second place was Czech Republic. Third place, Lithuania. UK finished 18th.
What?
Yeah.
We need to step up our game.
I know, yeah. Behind France, Germany and Austria.
Wow.
So in England, we drink 9.7 litres of alcohol each year on average.
Can I just say, there's a comment from Joe in chat on Twitch right now.
Hello,
Joe saying, Girth. Joe, girth to you too, mate.
Go on, girth. Final of the surveys. People across in the UK were asked, how happy did you feel yesterday? The results were...
How happy? What was it, out of 10 or...?
Yeah, out of 10, yeah. Let's start from the bottom. Colchester. That was the lowest with an average happiness score of 6.8.
Wow. I thought it'd be much lower in Colchester.
Yeah. Well, I think 6.8's not a bad score for the saddest place in the country. Redditch in Worcestershire came second last, followed by Norwich.
All very grim places. If you're not from the UK, and we have many international listeners from countries far and wide, they are very grim places.
They are, yeah. You can see why they came bottom.
Yeah.
On the other end of the scale, Torridge in North Devon got voted the happiest place in the UK.
Okay.
And Pendle in Lancashire came second, followed by Lichfield in Staffordshire.
Pendle is a nice place, to be fair. And what was the scores? Were they like in the 8s and 9s?
They actually haven't given them for the happiest places, no.
Oh, wow, okay.
But presumably pretty high.
Seems a little bit rigged to me, to be honest.
So there you go. That's 2022 summed up in surveys.
I've got a quick question for you. Your task, and this is another Reddit special, by the way, so credit to Reddit there.
Credit to Reddit.
Yep. Your task is to blow an interview in the first 30 seconds. What do you do? But the example that I saw that got some of the best upvotes was, how strict is your sexual harassment policy? So, yeah, you got 30 seconds to blow the interview. How do you do it?
Well, you can't beat what's your sexual harassment policy, can you?
How strict is
Yeah,
it?
exactly. I don't know. Yeah, you've got to go down. These days, you're going to have to be like anti-woke, aren't you? You're going to have to say...
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Are all the women in this office as beautiful as that lady outside or something? You know?
I just thought of something then, like, who do you rate better, Michael Jackson or Jimmy Savile?
Yeah. Put them on the spot.
Yeah. So this is a section where we will try some new alcohol every single week. We take it in turns, bringing a new bottle in, and the idea is to give you some inspiration in the pub.
And if you like the idea of it or the sound of it, go out and try it like our top listener from Glasgow, Richard Horner, did.
So yeah, last week we had something called Panther Milk from Glasgow.
Yeah, well, from Spain originally, now from Glasgow.
And it had a really interesting backstory. This week we've got... It's a bit of a football-themed one this time, very loosely based on John Stones. And this is called Stones Original Green Ginger Wine by a guy called Joseph Stone. It's 13.5%, and it's a product and bottled for Stones of London. I'll just read the back to you. Stones Original Ginger Wine was first produced in 1740 at the Finsbury Distillery in London. Continuing that tradition, Stones today is a versatile drink with flavours of raisin and ginger. As well as the famed Whiskey Mac, Stones Original can be enjoyed all year round in a variety of cocktails and delicious food recipes. I wouldn't imagine them to say this can only be enjoyed in 1 month of the year, because they wouldn't sell very many of these, would they?
That's true.
So,
right, ginger beer, not a massive fan of. Ginger, don't mind. Wine I quite like, but ginger wine, I'm a little bit cautious about this.
It's not got a cork, so it's a twisty top, which gives it a feel of sort of cheap. And I'll just say as well, it was £5.50, so this is not an expensive drink.
The price gives it a little feel of cheap.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, we'll look at the bottle here. The bottle doesn't look too...
Ginger's good for you, isn't it? And so's wine. So.
And now, when you pour it, it does look like piss.
And you've given your one less. You've given yourself less than me. Oh no, fairly equal. I'll let you off.
Oh my God.
I'll let you off.
There was millilitres in that. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's surprisingly good.
Smooth.
Yeah, the ginger wasn't so harsh, was it?
I sniffed it first and I thought, oh, not going to like this. And then I saw you down in yours. I thought, I better catch up. But actually, that's pleasant.
That's all right.
I'd potentially buy that, you know.
Yeah, so for anyone that's listening, I was expecting that to be really quite harsh, gingery. And it does have like an after hint of ginger, but it's also not very dry because you associate white wines with like a dryness, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not even real like that. It's got a sweetness to it.
It's more like maybe a dessert wine, which are really like quite thick and sweet with a ginger flavour to it. Oh,
so yeah.
Ronaldo don't outshine Ramos.
What's the story behind this? Because someone at work today, I didn't watch the game, but I heard about it. I saw the score. Can you elaborate? Did you watch the game?
Didn't watch much of the game. Ramos is a 21-year-old youngster who I don't think he'd barely played at all. But the big story was that Ronaldo, having recently been released by Man United, and he's yet to find a new club, I think.
Which we covered as an exclusive on this podcast,
we did,
right?
Yeah. He's now since
for legal reasons, I do have to state that was a complete lie.
He was dropped by the Portugal team, which is big news. You know, you wouldn't really expect Messi to be dropped from the Argentina team. So Ronaldo being dropped and replaced by a 21-year-old, everyone's thinking, oh, here we go. Ronaldo's not going to be happy about this. And the 21-year-old Gonzalo Ramos, went on and scored a hat-trick and looked really good. And he's put himself on the world stage now. Like, I think a lot of the big clubs will be looking at him. So Portugal progressed to the next round, beating Switzerland 6-1. The question is Ronaldo actually going to feature again in this World Cup? He might come on in the last couple of minutes each game or something. But
so I heard that there was more to it. Didn't he storm off or something? He stormed off when he was subbed the game before.
He's been known for that, but I missed that if he did do it in the World Cup. But he's been doing it at United.
The story I heard was he stormed off, so he was left on the bench the following game in place of this guy.
Yeah.
And this guy just completely outshone him.
Yeah. And I'm not sure he'll get back in the team. Get back in the team now.
Yeah. So what do you think of Ronaldo? Is Ronaldo past it now?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he was past it last year, even though he managed to mask that with quite a few goals for Man United. Watching him most weeks, I still felt like that's not the Ronaldo that used to dominate the world. I was watching him as a Man United fan thinking, oh, please don't mess this up again. It doesn't surprise me that it's now come to the point where he's being dropped from his national team.
Yeah. It's
definitely his last international competition. He'll probably retire from international football after this tournament.
Yeah.
The last thing to say about Ronaldo is there are very strong rumours that he's agreed to sign for a Saudi Arabian club after the World Cup.
Al Jassar, is it?
Al Nassr or something,
yeah.
For £173 million or dollars a year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is he he's got another year or two left in him just to make a bit more money and then he'll retire?
I don't know what he's going to achieve if he does play for a Saudi Arabian club. So, yeah, I think that's going to be the end of Ronaldo.
Speaking of labouring on things,
obviously
he's labouring his career.
Well done, yeah.
Smooth as a baby's bum, that transition. Labour have announced that they will be removing or stopping, or what's the word?
Scrapping,
yeah, that. The House of Lords, if they get into power.
Big news.
Huge news.
Big news for our generation because we've grown up thinking it's always been there. It's always going to be there. When I was reading the news about it, previous prime ministers have also promised the same thing. Tony Blair promised a House of Lords reform. Then David Cameron promised it. So, and neither of them actually did anything.
Do you think that's just too powerful to be gotten rid of?
I don't know. I mean, if that was the case, why would it be a successful vote-winning tactic to say you're going to do it if everyone knew that it was impossible to achieve? So Keir Starmer said if Labour get in power, he's going to get rid of the House of Lords in his first term, which gives him 4 or 5 years to do it. I think it's 4 years.
The non-UK listeners that do not know what the House of Lords is, can you in 30 seconds summarise what it is?
Yeah, so they do actually play a role. There is a role that's important above members of Parliament and the MPs, because if now you've got a large Conservative majority and Suella Braverman says, we're going to introduce a law that means we're going to send everyone to Rwanda that hasn't paid their taxes in the last year or something like that. The House of Lords, their job is to look at it and go, well, actually, that's a bit ridiculous. You know, we understand where you're coming from, and maybe if you make these amendments, you could actually have something quite serious and a solid proposal here. We suggest you make these changes, and then the MPs then decide, yeah, let's make the changes or let's not. So there is a role for them. It's just that they're unelected and usually out of touch, and they're not a very good representation of what the current status of the country is. Right. So I think the plan is not to remove that second layer entirely, but to change it into something far more representative of what UK life actually is. It's important to recognise that you can't just scrap the House of Lords and say, finally, they're gone, we can crack on. Because if you get a situation where a Conservative government or a Labour government has got such a big majority, they can't just be left then for the next 4 years to run riot and pass every single law they want to. There needs to be a second layer. And in most countries, it's another democratically elected layer, which I think is
president and mayor, or president and a prime minister. Or
well, you might have a senate or a council or something like that, which review things.
That would make a lot more sense. When in the UK, there's no voting that takes place. They're just like
not for the House of Lords. No.
Yeah, how much money can you? What's your influence? How big's your dick? Whatever the reason is.
Every outgoing prime minister looks back at who helped them over the last 4 to 8 years or whatever, and says, "Oh yeah, you guys were great. You can all be
here's a leg up,
lords." Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous.
One of those people is a lady called Michelle Mone, who's been in the news a lot recently. And the reason she's been in the news is that her company applied for PPE funding. They decided to quickly, divert and change their business entirely to make PPE equipment.
So this was back when the government was kind of desperate to get a hold of PPE. They would pay anything.
And they made VIP lanes for their contacts in the industries and things. And
quick tendering processes. And, basically just crying out for kit.
Yeah. And so Michelle Mone's company got multiple contracts, earned hundreds of millions of pounds to provide this PPE. It was all found to be completely useless. Didn't meet any of the standards and had to be all thrown away. And they also then found that 30 million of that funding from our taxpayers' money went into her personal bank account. Then when you thought that was the end of it, it becomes clear that one of the other companies that she was pushing to get further PPE contracts, and she was lobbying on their behalf quite regularly and successfully as well, because they went on and earned tens of millions themselves, happened to be a firm under her husband's business.
You can't write it. It's almost like on Russian level corruption, isn't it?
It's shocking. It is. If we heard that was happening in Russia or North Korea or something, you'd be like, oh, typical.
Yeah.
But it's happening under our nose. And actually, I feel like they get a lot more leeway in this country than actually they should be getting. People just kind of go, oh, typical, never mind.
I read somewhere that her company went from turning over something like $500,000 in profits to 56 million in profit.
Yeah, maybe more
in 1 year.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the biggest and best companies would find it difficult to have that level of growth because it just isn't sustainable.
So she's currently taking leave of absence from the House of Lords to give herself time and space to prove her innocence.
Let things cool down, basically.
Yeah.
It's Goose News.
Now for Icelandic.
What have you got for me?
Goose stepping all the way to London. I apologise, like usual, it's not really news. It's more like a bit of goose history.
Okay.
Goose olds, we'll call it. Back in the 17th century, that's how old we're going
really
now.
Old.
Norfolk geese were extremely popular over Christmas, particularly as a luxury food, and particularly for the wealthy London elite. So way before the invention of cars and anything like that, Norfolk farmers had to get their geese all the way to London, and quite a lot of them as well. So they decided...
I think I can see where this is going.
The best way to get their thousands of geese down to London was to walk them down there well over 100 miles. And because this journey was understandably tough on those little goose feet, small leather boots were made and they were put on the geese to protect them during the journey. So the journey took about 3 months. So setting off in August, they get to London just before Christmas, where they inevitably and sadly met their fate at Leadenhall Market. Wow. So that's where they were slaughtered, unfortunately. One exception, though, was a goose known as Old Tom, who somehow escaped and became a local celebrity goose in the Leadenhall area. It might be Leadenhall, but it's spelled Leadenhall.
Yeah.
After his death of natural causes in 1835, the Times published a poem in honour of old Tom the Gander. The Times recorded his age as 37 years and 9 months old, which is remarkable, considering the average expected lifespan for a wild goose these days is about 20 years. So I'm not sure when the goose walks stopped. However, there is a film called Laughter House, which you can actually still buy on DVD, and it's all about the goose walks, and there's video footage of the geese walking from Norfolk to London and stopping off at various farms so they can eat and stuff along the way. And that was made in 1984. I wonder if they carried it on like as a tradition sort of thing.
It feels like that needs a remake, that film.
Doesn't it?
What do you want we could do these days?
Should we do it?
20, 30 years later, Jesus, with all the special effects.
Oh, you know that Dali that makes images? I wonder if there'll be one that makes videos and we can ask it to say, give me a video.
There is, yeah, but we could ask DALL-E 2 to render an epic
goose march.
Because when you ask it to do things, you can ask it to set the mood, the style,
that's true, yeah,
the view, the angle, the number, quantity, even like emotion that you want to get from the artwork. So you could get like an emotive goose march through the streets of London in retro wave style, 80s retro wave style. Yeah. Right, okay. Right, okay. We're on to Headliner, which is a regular segment of ours. I will read out 3 headlines that are stupid, ridiculous headlines. I don't know the content of the articles, although you can normally guess. And Salmon has to choose one of those. We'll delve in a little bit deeper. Here are the headlines. British public wrong about nearly everything. Survey shows.
Nice. Oh, another survey.
Yes.
I think that's going to win
we
this one.
have a winner. World Bank says poor need more money.
Cheers, guys.
I feel like that epitomizes how useful World Bank actually is. Safety meeting ends in accident.
I really want that one, but because we've had so many surveys today, we've got to keep the theme going. Let's go for the survey one.
British public wrong about nearly everything, survey shows. Right. So research shows opinion often deviates from facts on key social issues, including crime, benefit fraud, and immigration. A new survey from the Royal Statistical Society and King's College London shows public opinion is repeatedly off the mark on issues including crime, benefit fraud, and immigration. Wow.
Thanks to the Daily Mail.
Yeah, thanks for that. Shock horror, it's The Independent, this article. The research carried out by Ipsos Mori from a phone survey of 1,015 people aged between 16 and 75 lists 10 misconceptions held by the British public, and among the best misconceptions are, and I'll read them out. Benefit fraud. The public think that £24 of every 100 of benefits is fraudulently claimed. Official estimates are that just 70 pence of every £100 is fraudulent.
Wow.
So the public conception is out by a factor of 34.
You see that in everyday life. Like benefits claimants get absolutely slaughtered, don't they, hammered in the public opinion?
Yeah. The next, I'll round it off here. Immigration. Yeah. Some 31% of the population is thought to consist of recent immigrants, when the figure is actually 13%. Even including illegal immigrants, the figure is only about 15%. On the issue of ethnicity, black and Asian people are thought to make up 30% of the population, when the figure is closer to 11%. This isn't as entertaining as I was hoping it would be. No, it's
not, but it's fascinating. I mean, that's the sort of thing we could have covered in one of our main sections, because public opinion is seriously like so wrong in so many aspects of life, and it always to the detriment of our society.
Yeah,
we think that there's way too many foreigners, we think that benefits are the problem, benefits cheats and all this sort of stuff, and actually the reality is completely different.
Yeah, I've always had a suspicion that the public were pretty thick, especially since Brexit in 2016, unfortunately. Even by such a small margin, I would have thought that would have been a much bigger margin in favour of staying in Europe, and they have proven to be thick because Brexit has been a total train wreck. But it's nice to see it statistically backed up.
Exactly, yeah. Genuinely blame the Daily Mail for nearly all of those misconceptions.
And the Sun.
And the Sun,
yeah. Oh, well, that was Headliner. On to
pork scratchings. Seeing as it's so cold, I thought I'd do a ice cream themed pork scratchings.
Just to make us feel warm.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of controversy and conspiracy theories surrounding different theories about who invented soft serve ice cream. You know, like what we would call Mr Whippy ice cream from the machines and stuff. So I'm going to read out the 3 different stories where people claim to have invented soft serve ice cream, and you can tell me which one you think is real. So theory 1, by the mid 1800s, ice cream was just becoming mainstream, and particularly for laborers working on building sites in New York, and Italian immigrants were moving over to America at this time.
Okay.
And so they would often be seen pushing hand carts around selling ice cream to the laborers. After the 1920s, when automobiles were normalized, and in 1930s, they then started making ice cream vans. One particular immigrant who had moved to America from Greece started a new life as an ice cream seller from a ice cream van in New York. This guy's name was Tom Carvel, and on May the 30th in 1934, Tom Carvel's ice cream van had a flat tire and forced him to pull over by a pottery store in a little car park. The owner of the pottery store allowed him to stay there and sell his remaining stock before it all melted, and even let him link up to his electricity to try and keep the ice cream like cold, at least a little bit cold. Yeah, but they were slowly melting, and everybody that came to buy an ice cream from this broken down ice cream van was buying slightly melted ice cream, and they absolutely loved it.
Got a taste for it.
Yeah, and within 2 days he'd sold his entire stock and was able to get his van fixed and drive off again. This gave him the idea that selling soft ice cream from a fixed location is actually the best way to do it, and he then bought that pottery store that had let him stay there 2 years earlier and turned it into one of the first ever fixed location ice cream shops at selling his new soft ice cream. So this Mr. Carvel, he then developed his business from this one shop location. This became the Carvel Brand Corporation and became the most famous ice cream seller.
Jerry's.
At the time, they became the biggest ice cream manufacturer.
I thought it was a question.
No. So they've got over 320 franchises across America, the Carvel Ice Cream Foundation. And actually, it's worth Googling how Tom Carvel died and what happened to his estate after he died, because there's a load more conspiracy theory around that.
Did he jump out of the Eiffel Tower with his parachute?
No, he didn't actually, no.
Okay. Just checking.
He may have been murdered.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second theory about how soft serve ice cream came into existence is a company called the Taylor Company. They claim to have simply invented it, and they got a contract with McDonald's to provide them with all of their ice cream machines. And to this day, every single McDonald's in the world has a Taylor Company ice cream machine in it. Strong contender for that. But there is something a little bit suspicious about Taylor Company. So you may have experienced, like many people, that when you go into McDonald's...
Can I just stop you here?
Yeah.
Johnny Harris on YouTube did an incredible video investigation. He's a huge YouTuber who does like all kinds of topical, almost like documentaries, all about why the ice cream machines are always broken down.
Oh, okay, right. So this is probably touching the same thing.
Yeah.
So Taylor Company suspicions are that they provided all of these machines that are basically designed to break down, and only Taylor Company official employees can come around to fix them. And at any one time, there's always at least 25% of the Taylor Company ice cream machines broken down all over the world.
That is unbelievable, isn't it? It really is. And you can believe it because probably more than every 1 in 4 times you go to McDonald's. I mean, not that I go there frequently or anything. Statistically, I do have enough data about this. It's always broken down.
Yeah. So since 2021, the Federal Trade Commission have started an investigation into McDonald's ice cream machines.
Probably off the back of his documentary.
Possibly,
Serious.
yeah. And so the final theory about how soft serve ice cream came into existence is based in the UK. So we know the brand Mr Whippy over here, whereas the Americans refer to Carvel ice cream. Mr Whippy, the company that started this was called Joe Lyons. And in the late 1940s, early 1950s, they employed a lady who would later become our first female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher.
Wow.
She was putting her chemistry degree to good use, working for Joe Lyons' company, and developing what was later to be known as Mr Whippy ice cream. Now, unlike the other two theories where it looks like the inventors have literally just found a new way of making ice cream, which the customers really love, Margaret Thatcher's approach was a bit more typical of her political leanings, because she came up with the idea to mix air into the ice cream, not to make it nicer, but to increase the profits of the company. So use less ingredients, whack some air into it.
All of a sudden, this story's become way more believable.
Yeah. So that is the theory of how Margaret Thatcher invented soft serve ice cream.
That's her link, because she's such an incredible, known for good and bad reasons, political figure in the UK, but I bet very few people know that.
Yeah, that's right. The whole world now knows.
What do you think?
I believe the Margaret Thatcher one, whether it was actually her, but I believe she was at the company when the company decided to just start mixing air into it to increase their profits. I'm certain that would have happened. I think the Carvel one, the immigrant that his van broke down the side of the road and slowly melted. I think that's the least believable one.
It's
because
also the furthest away in terms of time as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in theory, that's the earliest sign of soft serve ice cream, so that could be the most believable. But I don't know. I tend to think that
the second one. The Americans do come up with great food, don't they?
Yeah. To get a contract with McDonald's to serve an ice cream machine in every single one of their branches, they must have been producing good ice cream.
Yeah.
And if that's dated before Mr Whippy, then I reckon they were the first ones to do it.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. That is fascinating.
There we go.
That was pork scratchings. Flipping heck. We cover all sorts of weird shit on this show, don't we?
You learn everything.
We'll get into that part of the podcast now where we'll talk about what's coming up in the next 2 weeks until the next podcast. So really we're trying to honk you into the weekend so you can talk down the pub with your mates about what's going on. We've got on here that the German right wing have tried to take over the German government or something.
Yeah. There's loads of senior people involved. A prince, I think, was one of the people arrested, and lawyers and dentists and all these people.
25 people arrested. It involved 6,000 officers on, I think, 46 different raids across Germany. Yeah. So it was a pretty serious operation.
Massive, yeah.
6,000 officers.
If that happened in the UK, we'd be absolutely mind blown, wouldn't we? Yeah. So it's really big news.
I don't think the UK's got 6,000 officers.
Probably not, no.
And if they did, I don't think they'd be doing that.
No.
They'd probably walk them into the into Parliament.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'd be lords soon, wouldn't they?
So they were right-wing extremists.
Yeah.
And they had extremist ideologies that planned to just walk in and take over the government.
Well, yeah, they wanted to basically remove Parliament and replace it with a monastical sort of hierarchy, rather than just a democratically elected Parliament. Actually, that sort of strand of German politics is actually quite big, I think. I think there was something like 15% of the population are on board with it, which is
absolutely
quite big.
It's a scary thought. I was talking about this with some colleagues today as it was announced. So it is hot off the press. I think we're the first in the world to announce this after The Independent and the Daily Star. I just think it's absolutely incredible. After everything that Germany has been through twice in the First and Second World War, for them to for there to even still exist this type of ideology, you'd think it'd be stamped out by the people themselves, that type of ideology, but it's obviously there in the nooks and crannies of the German population. Yeah,
it seems like it may never go away, but at least now the government seem to be so scared of it ever happening again that they're doing everything they can to stamp it out. But it's quite worrying. I mean, you also have people, they're sort of free speech warriors.
There's a lot in America.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite easy to be really right-wing and shout out and say, well, I've got my free speech. I can say what I want and believe what I want.
And get quite a big following on social media for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think this actually might help them in their cause in a little bit. They say, look, the established elite or, the Illuminati or, big state cracking down on people that don't believe the same as them. I just wonder...
You think this might fuel the fire?
It could a little bit. But I hope, even if it does, I hope they'll continue to keep stamping it out because I don't know. There is a fine line between freedom of speech and then also plotting to overthrow government.
Yes, and as Kanye West this week found out to his detriment, don't know if you've read about this or heard about it. So Kanye West has been banned on Twitter a few times. Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, is a huge fan of Kanye West.
Okay.
He's openly a very big fan of his music. It's almost like a meme that he likes Kanye West, but he was banned. He unbanned him, and within weeks he's been banned again.
Didn't he say he liked Nazis or something?
And what he did this week, I mean, he was on a talk show in a black mask, and it was basically being anti-Semitic and racist and all sorts. Even Alex Jones was distancing himself from some of the things. And that tells you how bad it was, right? I think Alex Jones is starting to learn his lesson. He's just filed for bankruptcy, by the way. Chapter 11 bankruptcy in America. But he decided... The thing that actually got him banned on Twitter was that he had a Star of David symbol that he posted, which within it was designed a swastika.
Why? Why would you do it? I just wonder what wormholes he's been down to reach that point. I actually saw a tweet. The reason I half knew about that story is I saw a tweet from like back in 2018 from somebody, and it had been retweeted loads like this week saying, here's your warning, get off the Kanye West train now before he says he likes the Nazis or something like that.
Oh, wow.
and then obviously like 4 years later, he's like posting that sort
He's
of
off
stuff.
his nut. I'd love to think that anyone listening to this podcast would just, if any of their friends, family, they would just stamp that sort of shit out, because freedom of speech is important. I don't know if I'm a freedom of speech absolutist, but I'm quite close to that, I would say.
Yeah.
A little bit, as Elon Musk says, I'm a very big advocate of freedom of speech. But if you're just doing it to gain power or influence or money or for bad reasons, that's not a good reason to have freedom of speech. That's not of benefit to society.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, do yourself and everyone else a favour and stamp it out of your social circles.
Should we move on to the World Cup?
Yeah.
So Germany have been, not only have they had 25 people arrested, they've also been knocked out of the World Cup.
Yeah, it's not a great week for Germans, is it?
No. So we have got coming up England versus France, which is a big match in my household. My other half being French, my son being half French, half English.
Ooh, who's he voting for?
He's actually got a France shirt on.
Has he?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay,
and he loves it as well. He asks to wear it, so
right.
That's quite worrying.
We got a few shining stars in the England squad, and Jude Bellingham, oh my God.
What a player he is.
Unbelievable. 19 years old.
Yeah.
The composure, the skill.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah, he is from Birmingham, so you can't have everything.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to listen to him speak ever. Just watch him play.
There was a great clip that was viral this last week or so where someone kicked the ball out and he was near one of the cameras and the microphone, and he shouted, "You fucking cunt!" or something like that. Not in an Irish accent, but what's the Brummie accent? You fuck cunt! I can't do it.
I'm not going to try.
I'm from Dudley, you cunt.
There you are, that's not bad.
But he is a great player. He's being linked with all sorts now, and Liverpool before the World Cup were heavily linked with him. He's been spending a lot of time with Trent and with Henderson. Seem to be buddying up with him. My fear is we could have bought him for 70 million before the World Cup. Yeah. He's easily 150 million.
He's the hottest
now.
property in the world right now, isn't he, pretty much? Certainly of the players that might move club. Like, obviously he's not hotter than maybe Erling Haaland right now, but
he has got an antithesis in the French squad in the form of Kylian Mbappe.
It says on the board, Mbappe-laps.
True story, Mbappe-laps was very nearly the title of this podcast. I don't know why we want to... It's so stupid, man. Anyway, so he's a good player as well.
Yeah, who would you prefer?
Fun.
Who would you prefer Liverpool to sign, Mbappe-laps or Bellingham?
I would say Jude Bellingham because Mbappe-laps has played for... He's played for PSG for quite a few years. He's a little bit older. Jude Bellingham. Salmon's lost it. He's lost it.
Right, back in the zone. Let's go.
Fucking hell. I'd say Jude. He's got a couple years on him, and I think he's going to be better. A lot of people are saying he's the best midfielder in the world at the moment. Jude Bellingham.
It's hard to see though, because he's a central midfielder. So like usually with a winger, they tend to make that progression where they go like Ronaldo's from like left wing to like left forward to centre forward and just goal machines. But Bellingham, I don't see that progression. I think he's going to stay a central midfielder his whole career. And it's quite hard to compare a central midfielder to a goal scorer like Mbappe. Because, you can have, like Kevin De Bruyne, for example, he's one of my favourite players in the world, but he'll never, ever be put in the same light as like Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Neymar. And I think it's just because you play centre midfield where sometimes the play can pass you by a little bit, whereas a centre forward, you're always there ready to put
scoring goals
in the spotlight. So
they get all the limelight, but some of the most important players are central midfielders.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying that Jude Bellingham and Haaland are basically going to be the two best players. You can't really compare the two though, because one's a goal scorer, out and out goal scorer.
Yeah. And
the other one's obviously a sort of box to box midfielder. But it'd be interesting to see how they go up against each other. What's your prediction for the French game?
At the start of the World Cup, I said it'd be just typical for England to go on and win this World Cup because it's in the middle of winter, the beer gardens are all closed and freezing cold outside, and people aren't that excited about
win it when no one can enjoy it.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought it'd just be typical that the one time England win the World Cup will be when we can't really thoroughly enjoy it. And for that reason, I think England will go on and win it.
Wow.
But my head, like if I was to literally like put my mortgage on a result, like if I had to bet my entire savings, my head's saying, well, France are a much better team. France are going to beat England.
You're going to back Mbappe laps, aren't you? So, have you got a score prediction?
On the theory that I think England are going to win the World Cup, I'm going to say 2-1 England.
2-1 England, okay.
We've kept a couple of clean sheets. I think 3 clean sheets in a row. And I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet against France, so we're going to have to outscore them. So I'll go 2-1.
Interesting. I think France are going to tonk us.
Yeah.
I think they're going to beat us 4-1.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to get tonked. So that'll be on Saturday at
Harry
7 o'clock.
Maguire against
Harry
Mbappe.
Maguire, exactly. You just can't, can you?
But
Even Kyle Walker, I mean, he's good, he's fast, but he just doesn't have the same... He's not a stable player, someone like Kyle Walker. Even John Stones. These are quite good players, but you put them up against someone like Mbappe laps and they're fucked.
That's true, yeah. Well, let me tell you something that might change your mind. England's assistant coach, Steve Holland, he's worked as an assistant manager to Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, and Antonio Conte. Okay. 3 like Champions League and League multiple trophy winning managers.
How would Jude Bellingham pronounce Antonio Conte's name?
I don't know. You're the expert at accents. So Steve Holland, very good assistant manager. He's well renowned for his detailed analysis of opponents and planning tactics and how to contain certain people. There's another guy who's the FA's head of coaching called Tim Dittmer. And between the two of them, they've been studying the French team for at least 2 years and watching how, because France have had the same coach for all of that time since the last one, the World Cup as well, watching every single match, learning how the manager tweaks his tactics, how tends to make substitutions, how they tend to play. And between the two of them, they gave a presentation to Gareth Southgate and the whole England team on Monday.
Oh, wow.
On exactly how England can beat France.
But the fact that you know this means that the French team know it, which means that they could then do something totally different, right?
Well, I think, but that'd be brave to go and try something brand new in the space of, 5 days in preparation. So
I can respect that approach as well, because, and your sentiment that they would not change their tactics, because Liverpool have been found out this season.
Yeah.
It's the same team, if anything, a little bit more experienced.
Yeah.
But teams have found out and figured out how to play against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that has been our downfall so far this season, while we're having a poor season. So France are not likely to change their tactics, but if England have really found out how to play against them...
It's just whether they've got the players to expose them. And I think going forward, we've got some really good players. It's just whether we can hold tight at the back with Maguire and Stones.
It just feels like one of those World Cups where anything can happen. When you've got Morocco beating Spain,
that's right, yeah,
and you've got Germany going out of the World Cup to
can't remember, but South Korea qualified, Japan qualified, Switzerland qualified.
It's just crazy.
You're going to tell us a bit about Harry and Meghan.
But yeah, the Harry and Meghan documentary is going to come out. There's a lot of hype around it. I think it's a 6-part documentary, and the first of those parts has been released tomorrow, Thursday the 8th. On Netflix.
Is it just a documentary that follows them around?
I don't think so. I think it's like more of a structured documentary, and they're going to basically it's been gigged as one of these things where they just reveal all. From what I gather, they've been incentivized monetarily, so they've been given a lot of money to reveal more than they probably otherwise would have done.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of people are kind of waiting in anticipation for what they're going to reveal. Now, we've also, remember there was the Oprah interview they did, where they pretty much accused the royal family of racism, direct racism. So I wonder if they're actually going to specifically name call who was racist.
Yeah.
Now that the Queen has died, he probably won't feel as much loyalty to the royal family.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what they come out with. I'm really looking forward to watching that. Oh yeah.
I think I'll wait and see what the headlines are that come out of it. I really don't care that much, but
do you think your missus would like to watch that, or is it not? Really?
She's just started watching The Crown, and she's well into it. So I think she's more of a royal family fan than I am.
That's so weird.
But I think she's not like a fan as like patriotism. I love the royal family. It's more like a soap opera to her. Like seeing all the different relationships going on and stuff. Sticking to the theme of the royal family, did you hear about this lady Hussey? She spoke to this black lady who got so offended. She said she was traumatized.
We covered this very briefly before the pod, and you gave me a flavour of the transcript.
Yeah.
And so what was this? She was interviewing at this charity ball, questioning this.
Just asking representatives of different charities.
Small talk.
Yeah. So one of the charities was called Sister Space. The representative for that charity was this African-looking lady with like dreadlocks and a sort of like traditional African dress and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got the transcript here, which I'll just run through quite quickly.
Quote it.
Lady Hussey says, "Where are you from?" The lady says, "Sister Space." And Lady Hussey says, "No, where do you come from?" "Well, we're based in Hackney." "No, what part of Africa are you from?" "I don't know, they didn't leave any records." "Well, you must know where you're from. I spent time in France. Where are you from?"
Probably at Mbappé retreat.
She says, "Well, here, the UK." "No, but what nationality are you?" "I am born here and I am British." "No, but where do you really come from? Where do your people come from?" "My people? Lady, what is this?" And then she says, "Oh, I can see I'm going to have a challenge getting you to say where you're from. When did you first come here?" She says, "Lady, I'm a British national. My parents came here in the 50s. And then, oh, I knew we'd get there in the end. You're Caribbean." "No, lady, I am of African heritage, Caribbean descent, and British nationality." And then she was on national news.
What do you think of this? Because she's obviously been relieved of royal duties.
Yeah, well, or she's been forced to resign from her duties, yeah.
And it does sound like she was... The lady was baiting her a little bit by letting it drag out, letting her dig her own grave a little bit.
It's quite obvious what Lady Hussey was driving at with her questions, wasn't it? And then to just keep saying, "Well, I'm from this charity, I'm from Hackney, I'm from Britain." It's like you're just like pushing the buttons, really, aren't you?
I just wonder why she wanted to know that. What was the benefit of her knowing that information?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were interested, you might ask once, you might ask twice, and then think, "Oh, she's not going to answer. I'll just drop it." You know. Yeah. So don't push it. But on the other hand, as a white British person, if you do see somebody that has got a heritage from elsewhere in the world, you might genuinely be interested to know where they're from. Okay, they might be British, so where are they?
Just ask it more directly, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like for instance, like, you know, what's your culture, or maybe you'd ask about the dress, or the dreadlocks, or something like that, right? Rather than skirting around it a little bit like that.
Yeah. Because we're entering this like stage of the world where you're just so scared to offend anyone now.
Yeah.
And like you might be genuinely interested in somebody's background and you don't know the correct words of what to say anymore, and you're scared of upsetting people. But
do you think she was really interested, or do you think she was just picking at it to get...
Who knows? I've never heard of her before this, so I don't know what sort of person she is. She could be the kindest, nice old lady ever, or she could be a bit of an arsehole who's just like a bit racist, and which is probably the latter. You know, the fact that she's been asked to step down from these duties. I bet somebody's thought, well, this is pretty bad, and you've done some other questionable stuff as well. You got away with
wherever it comes to stuff like that. The royal, they've had Prince Andrew, quote unquote, the paedophile.
Yeah, just on Prince Andrew, I saw that he was made like the Duke of Inverness or something like that. His official title, and then someone referred to him as the Loch Ness noncer.
We've got a couple of announcements, really, haven't we?
End off on public health announcements.
Yeah, as you know, we are very much an educational podcast. We put education at first and foremost.
We're here for you.
Yeah, Strep A has been in the news.
Yeah, I don't think either of us had probably ever heard of it until this week, really.
Apparently it's really common. It's actually like 11-12% of people could just harmlessly carry this around.
It's expected that a handful of people, children especially, might die from it every year.
Yeah.
But because it's so minor in terms of numbers, it's not really talked about, and it's something that doctors are aware of, and we're not really, I suppose, until it happens to you.
There seems to be a wave of it, and it's sort of caught the media's attention recently. So
yeah, because it's earlier than normal, I think, and there's already 8 children died from it. There was one story in the news where a little boy was misdiagnosed 3 times by his GP, and then went to hospital and misdiagnosed again, sent home with a leaflet about a chest virus or something, and then ended up in a coma, but survived in the end. They got him into A&E quickly. But
good ending in a way, but it's pretty bad.
If you have got kids,
I know that Facial rashes can be a symptom.
It's rashes anywhere, I think, but yeah, particularly on the face or tongue as well.
Yeah, and also it's high fever.
Yeah,
it's
lethargic, high fever.
Yes, that kind of stuff. Continued cough that won't go away. Chills, fever.
A separate doctor, independent doctor, said if that first GP had just sent off some simple blood samples, it would have been identified straight away. So if you do take your kid to the doctor and you're worried about it, just demand to have blood tests done.
And that's why you listen. Salmon literally said, we've got to talk about this, because if we can save just one child, it'll be worth it.
We don't want to save two, so just only one of you gets to the doctor.
And then the final thing is just the strikes. RMT, so our good friend
Mick Lynch,
future possible Prime Minister, trade unionist extraordinaire, has announced that over the 24th to the 27th of December, directly over Christmas, the rail... All up and down the country, the rail people are going to be striking.
Is there Boxing Day Premier League football back on that after the World Cup?
I think so, yeah. It might even be the 27th. It's normally one or the other. So, yeah, that's going to screw up football fans up and down the country and many other people that are travelling to see the parents. They're literally advising people to just not use the rail system at the moment, which is ridiculous.
I mean, I'm actually worried about using the railway network even when there's no strikes. Like, you're just not sure if your train's going to turn up.
For those people not in the UK, and you may have your own problems with your own various public transport systems. The public transport system in the UK is a total shambles.
Broken. It's absolutely broken.
Yeah, late, cancelled trains. The service is bad. It's often dirty. Not very well maintained trains. Undertrained staff, underpaid staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the 8% pay rise that was reported has annoyed a lot of people because the union rejected it. And so the headlines were the train drivers or train staff were offered an 8% pay rise and they've still rejected that. And everyone was like, that's ridiculous. Can't they just accept that it's hard times and, accept the pay rise? When you read into it, there's actually a lot of terms and conditions attached to it. And one of the main ones, which the reason why they rejected this offer was the train companies wanted to implement driver-only trains in terms of staff. So there'd only be one member of staff on every train, and that's the driver. So he'd be responsible for maybe doing ticket checks or reporting any abusive behaviour and things like that. And
a single person on every train?
So there'd be no conductors or security staff.
That might sound weird to automated systems like Japan. We've just been to Copenhagen, similar there. But the train systems, A, are not reliable, and B, they're incredibly overcrowded.
Yeah.
And some of them are very long as well. You've got like 10, 11 carriages that have got hundreds of people on them.
Yeah. And there is a culture of like drinking quite a lot on trains as well. You do get large crowds of like rowdy people that intimidate you a little bit. And actually it'd be nice to be made to feel a bit safe. But from the driver's point of view, can you imagine thinking this is all my responsibility? I'm not safe.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this job, anymore. So it's quite badly reported in the media as like, they rejected an 8% pay rise, but actually it's not the finance that they're actually rejecting in this situation. It's something else.
Also 8% pay rise for the foreseeable, that might be for 2 years. They might not get another rise for another year or two.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was
cover
4% backdated, 4% future. So it wasn't even 8%.
So it wasn't even 8% going forward. Is, in real terms, a 5% drop in pay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the inflation at the moment is 13%.
Yeah.
So it's not an offer of 8% rise, it's an offer of a 5% continued drop in wage for the train drivers. So you can sort of understand why they're doing it. It's a bit shitty that they're doing it over those particular days, but I suppose it does send the harshest possible message through the trade union. So you can
what they're doing is highlighting their value to society and say, if we're not here, what can you do? No one can take the trains. So I'd support them all the way, to be honest.
Yeah, jump in your car, drive up and down the country. Don't rely on the trains. Is the message.
And one thing that specifically relates to trains is the fact that they get such big public sector funding. Like the train companies,
they're not impacted.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the ones losing out on the money.
Yeah, it's mental.
The British taxpayer publicly fund all of these private companies.
And also the public purse, because not only are they still paying for that despite the train fares not coming in to cover that public cost, but then the economy suffers because people aren't travelling as much and shopping as much.
Yeah.
So we get a double bubble, the taxpayer does.
Lose-lose, isn't it?
So there was one thing I wanted to ask you, just so we can end on a slightly higher note.
Go on in.
Your dad is 2 inches inside of you, and and you are 2 inches inside of your mum. Do you move forwards to get out of your dad, or backwards to get out of your mum and onto your dad?
Can you not just kill yourself? How do you even end up in that situation in the first place?
An unfortunate accident.
What's worse, Well, you've got to push forward because if you're not gay, you've got to go forward. Either way, it's incest, whether you push back or push forward. So it's incest both way, and then it's either gay or heterosexual, isn't it?
And on that bombshell, thank you for listening. If you've got this far, we are
cheers, guys.
Live on Twitch every 2 weeks. We edit onto YouTube as well. Then the edit will go out on Spotify, on Deezer, on Audible, on all the different channels. So don't forget to subscribe to those. Thanks a lot for listening.
Au revoir. Good night.
Cheerio.
Bye.